Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield. It is Tuesday, March 11th. Off weekend. We're getting ready to go. I saw somebody say, Josh, it doesn't make sense to have an off weekend at the very start of the season. Like, we should have, 2 or 3 tournaments back to back to kind of like get everybody rocking and rolling. And there's been a lot of chat about Cactus Rock. And like, it fits geographically on the way from Florida to Texas. I think my bet is next year we have Cactus Rock DGPT.
That's a fair speculation. Because my objection that I was about to raise is that, I just did a quick little search, and I just did Orlando. So that might be, maybe an hour off, a little bit more. But I did Orlando to Waco, and that's 16 and a half hours. And so
that's far.
That's a far drive. And so it makes sense, like, why you'd have an off weekend between these two tournaments.
But if you have a tournament in Tuscaloosa, Alabama,
then that's a whole different story, because now you're only driving 8.
Right.
Yeah, because then it's just broken up. Yeah, I love the idea.
Cactus Rock coming in. UDisc 4.9. Most recent comment. Is this most recent comment? I don't know. Whatever. A comment of recent times. Best course in the state by far, and it's not even entirely refined and polished yet. That's from last summer. This is of course, the Macbeth Dylan Cease property. A lot of elevation change. It looks like an extremely interesting property, and I think they might be ready for an event because it was built with spectating in mind.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
We don't have that many pro courses that have been sort of built from scratch with that in mind.
Yeah.
How many? Like, couple total in the U.S. So we'll see, but I would be okay with it, I think. Would you be good with back to start the year?
Yes.
I think.
Yes. As opposed to what? 8 events in a row at the end? Like, yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, absolutely.
I think 2 or 3 to start, get us going, then take a week off. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to take a week off when you're in Texas for the 2-pack. So 4 in a row feels like a lot, but I don't know. I think
I would say probably do the 4 in the row and then a break. That's what I'd want to see.
4 in a row and then a break? Yeah.
Especially, like you said, early season, people are rested, and we haven't had disc golf for so long.
Sure.
Like, take advantage of that. And then
you also go 2, break 2.
Yeah, that'd be fine too.
Anyway, I'm excited to see Cactus Rock on the tour. I'm sure it will be on the tour at some point in the near future. Instead, this weekend we had the Go Throw Cancer Playbook Open 2. If you have a chance, you can go check out the coverage over on YouTube. It was a sloppy mess out there. A lot of DNFs, a lot of mud. Josh, did you watch much of the coverage?
So I read somewhere on Reddit that it was for members only at first.
It is, yes, that's true.
Is it available now?
It is now available.
Okay. I had not looked for it. I went and looked the next day, I think. I don't remember when I looked. I went and looked, saw it was members only. I am not a member. And so I have not watched it yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's the idea that somehow, like, I see this around a little bit. They're like, oh, this is going to replace the Pro Tour or something. It's just like complete comedy to me. I think it's fun, that like there's a chance for like low pressure A tiers for players to play. I think Gannon won. He won like $2,000 or something. We're not talking about like,
yeah,
this is just not, these things are not the same. And so I maintain that this is going to be kind of like a little sideshow, and that's fine. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's and it's like, it's fun, but the other issue is like being for the members only. I was like, oh shoot, I can't watch it. I went and checked UDIS scores, and now I'm like, yeah, I might watch it eventually. Right. And so it's kind of like the double-edged sword. Like if I can't watch it when I want, as quick as I want, then like scores will be sufficient for me for now. And so, yeah,
I hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how lack of live feels like a,
oh yeah.
it just kind of takes it's just not the same. It's not like it was 5 years ago when everybody was okay to wait until the next day to watch tournaments.
Well, and it's so interesting because like with live, obviously, is live conducive to my schedule in life? No, of course not. It's happening live. But because it's live, it feels like the value is there that I'm willing to like, oh, I'm out playing my own round. I can throw my phone on and put an earbud in. Like I'm at home cooking dinner. Sure, I'll have the Pro Tour on. Like that sounds great. But like if I'm not watching live, post pro is just hard for me to get excited about these days.
I hear you. Well, let us know what you thought about Go Throw event number 1. Shoot us an email, upshot@ultiworld.com. We got Waco coming up this weekend. I guess 3 rounds of the Beast. We're back to just Beast. Mm-hmm. I talked to the TD, Ryan Draper, yesterday. Got some interesting news that I will drop in a moment. Sounds like Lake Waco as a course probably not coming back to this event anytime soon. But it may go back to 4 rounds. So we will talk about how that will happen when Brian Earhart joins us in just a moment. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. It's the Upshot. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Did you know that you can make a custom pound bag in whatever colors your heart desires? And everything is customizable, from the straps to the zippers to the fabric. You can make your own custom Octothorpe, the brand new 2.0 model, Rufus, Vagabond, even custom shoulder pads or custom hat. They got it all. Go over to pounddiscgolf.com. When you go to the disc golf tab at the top, you'll see a big colorful custom bags button. Click on it. You can just go check it out. You can go make your own custom bag. You're not obligated to buy it. See what the bag of your dreams could be and check out pounddiscgolf.com. Joining us now on the Upshot is friend of the pod, Brian Earhart. Works for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, commentator for DGN. Got a brand new podcast himself with Nate Perkins. Episode 1 just dropped. Brian, welcome to the program.
Always love to be here, Charlie. This is, like you said, this is my friend. This podcast is my friend.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
I hope to be a friend on your podcast at some point.
Come on out. Can't wait. And like you guys know, any new podcast, you think you have an idea of what you want it to be, but then it kind of grows into something different. The fans tell you what they want. So we're in that kind of fun stage of doing things, having people tell us we did it wrong, and then changing it. We already changed our course grading rubric on episode 2. So yeah, I don't know. Can't do it without the fans, but it's been fun so far.
Also, you just out of nowhere dropped a new Flight Diary episode with Holland Handley. Is the pod back, or is this like a one-off? What's going on? It's
back in a different light. So that was the podcast that got me almost every big media gig that I have now. Anytime I was getting talked to or hired, it was always someone saying, oh, I was a fan of Flight Diary. And when I got hired full-time to start doing media, all the other things, I thought the show was going to come with me and like be the big main project that I work on. But I started realizing that when you film somebody telling their life story, which pretty much the podcast is, trying to answer the question of how the heck did you become a professional Frisbee player, it changes the way they tell the story. And when the environment is lit up and trying to look good for people, it doesn't sound as good. So I didn't feel like I needed the extra help from people. I didn't want to overproduce the show. I kind of just wanted to be a project that lives forever in disc golf. And so now I'm self-producing it. If anybody wants to edit the podcast for free, just saying, it's out there for you. But I'm self-producing it, and I don't know how many I'm going to make, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's a special thing. And Holland Hanley on that episode told me that podcast was the reason she got pushed over the edge to join tour, because she found out how other people were doing it, and she realized that she was way over engineering her plan to go on tour full time. So yeah, I don't know. If I get enough donations, I might be able to fly out to places and record in person, but I'm going to try to not do them remotely. I really think they're special when you do them in person, wherever that person is. And yeah, so the project is kind of floating in space right now.
It's an excellent program. So we were stoked to hear that it's back, and definitely love it. And glad to have you also on the show, Charlie. I was thinking when we were talking about friend of the pod, I think we need to get hats made that once they've earned friend of the pod designation, then they get a hat.
Send some merch out.
Yeah.
I like it.
Maybe a tiara, maybe a little crown.
I love it.
I will say it's dangerous for you to come on here with a green screen behind you. Like, we could just put anything back there.
I'm fine with that. I'm blocking a different type of backdrop. I love having the green screen up, though, because I love to give you the freedom. Put me out in outer space, put me at the carnival. I don't really care. Go for it.
But you are at what do we want to call it? DGN Studios East?
Yeah, I think I guess we're going to break it here. Some of the shows are going to be at my house this year. I have a house, and I have an office, and stable internet, and yeah, we're running a few of them from here this year. But yeah, I'm not gonna show too much yet, so the green screen will stay here today.
All right. So Florida Open kicked off the season.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you've been locked in on pro disc golf for a long time and following as like a media member pretty heavily for like 2 years now. Mm-hmm. So what did you make of the start of the season? Like, now that we've had a little bit of time, it's been over a week, you zoom out and you think about, like, what does this tell us about what we're going to see this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first moment that sticks out to me, I drove down there. I wasn't on the schedule to do encores, but I drove down, hosted something on Wednesday. I did a little something for a documentary on Tuesday. And then I just floated and took notes for me and Perkins' first podcast episode. And Kyle Klein comes up to me. And Kyle Klein got 6th at the tournament. But he comes up to me on the tee pad of 1, and he goes, I'm getting old, Brian. I'm getting old, Brian. And I was like, what are you, 21? He goes, 22. and it's a funny moment, but I think that's kind of what I'm making of this year. I mean, I know it's just a year's time, but a lot of these young players have been out here for a few years now. I'm not going to call Kyle a rookie, even though he's 22. I'm not going to call him a new player to the tour. Nope. I'm not going to call, I still remember Adam Hammes when he was like a young kid, like breaking onto the scene for the first time. A lot of these young kids are starting to feel more like veterans. And when you have that first couple of years on tour and you learn the life lessons, you learn how to live on the road, you manage your first burnout, and you play some of these courses for the first time, then you can really be a contender. So I think this year it's going to start to feel a little bit more like traditional golf, where it could be anybody's weekend. We used to say that, but maybe we used to say that for more entertainment value. This year, there's a lot of, I look down the leaderboard in this tournament, especially for MPO, and any one of these guys actually has the X factor to win a tournament. So we're going to see a lot of tight finishes. We saw a 3-way playoff in FPO. I think the same thing is happening there. Holland and Ella were essentially COVID players, and Ella just won. Holland looks unbelievable right now on the disc golf course. And again, on the podcast, she lets us in on her kind of mental process of how she's gotten to where she is. There's a lot of young players that are getting there. So not just the company, the Disc Golf Pro Tour, is maturing. A lot of these players are maturing. And then last thing, some of the older players are realizing they have to stay on it. I know Simon had mentioned that he's like cleaning up his diet. He's like cutting down on the drinking, and he looked great. And I think that's what's also happening is players are like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to do next after professional disc golf is over. So I got to be on my game on all fronts to stay out here. So I don't know. That's what I make of it.
When man, that's such great insight in terms of like the competition. Let me ask you then, in this like idea of anybody can win, what do you think courses or the overall tour needs to do in order to kind of create like scoring separation, create opportunity for like real entertaining golf where it's not a case of it just like, because anybody can win is great, but you also don't want it to feel random, right? You don't want it to feel like just any given week, like, oh, look who won. And then we don't see them again for the rest of the season or for a while. And so how do you balance that if you're thinking about it as like the Pro Tour, that you just have an incredibly talented younger generation who are now experienced with also the older veterans and ensuring that you have like a competitive, cohesive, like golf, right? Does that make sense?
100%. I think there's two different things to think about from my perspective. First off, you think about a player winning and then not winning for a while or not winning again. I think of like Conor O'Reilly, Parker Welk. That's always going to happen in sports. I don't care where you go. And I'm not going to sit here and say Champions Landing is a place where anything can happen. Like it seemed like for a while, the best shooters in the world were the ones who won there. Parker's potential showed. And as a golfer, that's the lifelong journey of like trying to realize that potential on a week-to-week basis. So sometimes that kind of stuff just happens. But the other side is, I think course design in disc golf is really tricky. But I think a really good example comes from hole 9 at the Florida tournament. I keep wanting to call it chess.com. I know they had a part to play, but I know Supreme Flight is back. So at the Supreme Flight Open, hole 9 was this perfect hole to watch professional disc golf from both divisions. FPO got that beautiful downhill flex shot. MPO had to blast across the valley and make it onto the other side. But Gossage actually came up to me and we were talking shop a little bit, and he mentioned something that makes a lot of sense for pro course design. That hole actually scored pretty rough. Even though it was the coolest spot to watch disc golf on the entire property, in my opinion. That whole area below the cliff, at least a big portion of it, was mandatory relief. So it wasn't like you miss the cliff and you get penalized. You miss the cliff, you take relief, you get up and down, you pretty much jump putt up to the top, and you take your 3 and move on. So I don't have the stats right in front of me, but it was like 60% pars throughout the weekend, at least for the MPO division, because the FPO didn't have to worry about that. But Gossage was like, just make that relief area, quote unquote, out of bounds and penalize the people who are going across intentionally. And there you go. There's your separation on a hole like that. And if the players want to be strategic and say, I don't have it today, I can't throw 85 miles an hour, that's an over-exaggeration, but you got to blast this shot. Let them lay up short, and then the shot up to the top is still hard. It's a blind shot. You're throwing 250. You can make a pretty sizable out of bounds area down there. And I think people say they want to make a high level course with no out of bounds. Like that's not a thing anymore. Like show me that course. I'd love to see that course. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, we got that course here," and then we go there and it gets murdered.
Right.
Or it's a nightmare from a flow perspective. But that kind of stuff in course design, those little changes to say, like, where do we punish the players? How do we punish the players? And that's all it comes down to, in my opinion. Course design's tricky in disc golf.
Ezra Robinson didn't just win; he like demolished everybody on the final day, shooting one of the best rounds of his career with the pressure at the highest. We saw last year how Florida Open at timechess.com Invitational springboarded best ever seasons for both of the winners, Anthony Barella and Evelina Salonen. Ev wins Worlds, AB wins 4 tournaments. These are career high watermarks. Do you think we might see the same for Ella and Ezra, given the trend of last season?
It's tricky to tell, but I will say, before I get into Ella, Ezra blew me away. I felt like we finally saw him play with that X factor that his brother had, like where he started playing, you were watching him play, and you thought to yourself, okay, well, there's no way he's going to lose this tournament. He's just on a tear. He's throwing hard. He's throwing confident. The timing looks perfect. I mean, that was his 5th tournament of the year, so he was also in pretty good rhythm as well. But I've kind of known he was going to be good. I didn't know he was going to be this good, just like his brother. But I want to tell you guys a funny story. I followed Ezra at Ledgestone one year where they played Northwood, and I wanted to track people on his card. I wanted to track this stat that doesn't exist. I wanted to call it pure fairway hits, where you could hit first available, kick in the fairway, and on the stats, that's a fairway hit. I wanted to see someone rope a shot down the fairway with intention. Don't hit a tree, land in the fairway. Ezra at Northwood Black this round was 15 of 18 pure fairway hits, and he threw distance driver backhand almost every time.
That's insane.
And that's where I was like, oh, okay, big boy over here. But I don't know. All these little things have started to come together. His touches come together. His slower disc game, like his shaping, has come together a little bit. His forehand is really solid. Him and his brother have both put a lot of work in that. But yet again, I think we could see him win another one of these this year. But we've also seen with his brother Isaac, with Kyle Klein, with some other young players, after that first win, the next tournament's hard to repeat.
Who is going to have the better season this year, Isaac or Ezra?
Me and Perkins talked about this on the pod that's coming out today, and Perkins thinks that Isaac has no chance.
Wow.
Wow.
Like, it was the first hot take of the year for me.
That's a hot take. No chance is very much a hot take.
Yeah.
I don't really know. They're pretty evenly matched when you go across the board. Not at the major championships, but across the board at the Elite Series events, like pretty evenly matched. But Ezra's game has stepped up big time. I'm interested to see how Isaac does throughout the course of the year. It seems like he, even last year, was like, starting the season, I was just real lazy and I needed to work harder. And then he did that, and then he won the world championship. So it might just be that Ezra has had this chip on his shoulder for so long, and now he's got a company like Discraft that's just gassing him up. And that's what happened with AB. They just gassed him up. They made some more jerseys, got little kids wearing the jerseys all over the place. We might be seeing some Peach Pirate gear throughout the tour this year. So I don't know. I think the new sponsorship, the new bag, and now like it's probably still feeling like an underdog. I think he's going to have a great season.
So that's an Ezra answer, but no chance to Isaac is what I'm hearing.
I disagreed with Perkins. We'll just say that. I
all right, we'll have to go listen. To that point, you're talking about Isaac Robinson having a slow start. I don't want to put too much into the one Pro Tour event and then the one bonus throw event. But Isaac almost missed cash at a Supreme Flight, and then he was 16 strokes off the lead in a 2-round tournament this past weekend at the Go Throw event. So Isaac is just Isaac's thing. He just like sits waiting, just waiting for the moment when Worlds rolls around. That's it. I think this man only plays disc golf 1 month a year. Like I'm.
Hey, you know what? It happens. And here's the thing. We're talking about the Go Throw event. I don't know if you saw those conditions, but that's just like rolling the dice. Like, I think Perkins said something like there was a group of 5 players, like Conrad, Greg Barsby, Chris Clemens. There's a group of 5 really good players, and they shot like 40 something over par in round 1 or something like that. Like, it was like inches upon inches of thick Texas clay that
Truly
was like,
terrible.
Yeah, so some players just go, okay, this is not for tour points. This is unsanctioned. Like, screw this. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna get through. Yeah,
Sure.
And Gannon won, and Gannon's good, and whatever. You know, that's what I make of that event.
Yeah. Yep. That's about right.
So we got Waco coming up. Last year, of course, it was a 4-round tournament at DGPT Plus. We had 2 rounds at Beast and 2 rounds at Lake Waco. This year will be 3 rounds at Beast, back to kind of the OG Waco. A very interesting course, one of the shortest courses on tour when you sort of measure it relative to, you know, how far you got to go to get into the circle. And I was watching back some coverage this week, and there's just a bunch of holes out there where, like, if you just execute a pretty straightforward, like, backhand shot, you're going to get an easy birdie. Like, you just, you can't hit a tree. Like, unlike, I don't know, probably 4 holes, like the more like open parky ones, it's just, they're not that hard. It's not that long of a course. Now the wind plays a huge role, huge role, depending on what, and it blows every direction out there. So if you get tailwind on hole 1 when you're teeing off, like sometimes it might even be different wind by the time you get to the turn and you come back on 17 and 18, and like how the wind is blowing on those last 2 holes can often feel like it decides the tournament. Because if you have a headwind, like you might not be able to get across the water. Anyway, the interesting thing though about this course is that it does seem to open up the possibility of winning to a larger group of players than we would have in a typical week. The stats from last year, all right, at Beast, so the 2 rounds at Beast, here were scores if you just look at the Beast rounds. Greg Barsby, 22 down. Cole Radalin, 21 down. And then 4 players tied at 20 down. Nicholas Onsala, Ezra Robinson, Nate Sexton, and Gannon Burr. So that's 2 rounds of 3. Are we going to have a crazy sprint finish here where it's like anyone's game because of the nature of this course?
Yeah, and it's a course that we've played a bunch too. So veterans, they step up to a tee, and a lot of times it's the same disc that they threw the year before. Like their game's not evolving that much from a gameplay standpoint. So there's a lot of holes that are just autopilot. And actually, we're not playing the quote unquote new 16 that goes over the water. It's going back to the power box hole, and I think they're making the power box section out of bounds. And maybe it's been like that for a bit, but we're playing that one now.
I love the power box hole.
Yeah,
Me too.
So
I don't
box,
care.
That's great.
Hole 15, that power box zone is now OB. Hole 16, going back to the original location, as you said, and they're putting the OB instead of kind of along the right side and sort of the natural like road / path. They're cutting it down the middle of the fairway and pinching the OB super tight before it opens up to the green. So it's going to kind of force players to decide whether they want to try to throw 450, 500-ish feet in order to get past that pinch point, or if they want to lay up short and have a more difficult upshot. Because the changes last year didn't seem to really stick.
The hole just didn't provide a wow factor. And honestly, 15, there's a lot of players that try to gas the shot, especially when you do have that tailwind, when you come out of the woods on 12. You try to get the 2 on it, and you go out of bounds or you burn your shot over. Like that's a distance where any speed of disc gets touchy, unless you throw with 1,800 RPMs like one player. But I don't know. I think it brings some dangerous play because that's the road where all the spectators are. So you got to watch yourself there. But the pinch point on 16, I'm curious to see how it plays out because I kind of like the option for players to throw the big roller and try to get the 2. But from what it looks like on the caddy book, it doesn't look like it's going to change too much. Like what is it punishing?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It might be like more effective for the FPO division in creating scoring separation, making that drive a little bit more touchy. But for MPO, they're just throwing big hyzers to where it starts opening up, or the roller just blasts, and they're so far up there that they'll take a par anyway. So yeah, we'll just have to see. But I love this course, Charlie. I love a short course as a change-up amongst the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I think my favorite length of course is like anywhere between 8,500 to 9,500. But I'll take a little guy. I'll take a nice little guy in between. It's fun.
Well, I'm just gearing up for Luke Humphreys to finally win one.
The inevitable charge.
He's going to be there.
Of course he is. He shreds that course.
He shreds.
Yes, every time.
He was third last year on the 4-round tournament.
It's disheartening, though, because sometimes you're playing great, and then you have one round where you par like the first 4. Because it happens, especially if you get the headwind on the first 4.
The wind, yeah, yep.
That's when it gets tricky because the holes that you feel like you have to get now have headwind, and it's going to blow like 22, 25 miles an hour on Friday. And even when you get to 5, that like uphill par 3, you can feel the wind blowing through the trees, and that's when stuff gets really hard. So then you're through 5, you look at your phone, you're even, and so-and-so is 5 down. And you're like, I don't know how they did that. So it's demoralizing, and it's one of those courses that puts a different type of pressure on you.
Yeah, it can be hard to catch up, I think.
Yeah.
You mentioned FPO. Last year at Beast on the 2 rounds, Kristin, 13 under through 2 rounds. Evelina and Luca Lorenzen, 7 under, next closest. So she cooked everybody at Beast. This will be her opening event of the season. There were some little bit of sketchiness about her visa situation because of her name change. But all is well. She is in Waco. She's been posting some Instagram posts from Waco and being in the sun. Is this going to be a I'm back, get out of my way kind of start for Kristin?
I hope, because the rest of the FPO division looks great right now. And I would love to see Kristin come in top form to join these players. I mean, that 3-way playoff, those players are not going anywhere. Ella, Holland, and Evelina, I have a feeling that all 3 of them are going to be solid throughout the year. And I would love for Kristin to start to feel that kind of competitive juice of like, okay, I gotta bring my A game now. I'm no longer going to set the bar. But I don't know. How many tournaments, Charlie, I'll ask you a question, and Josh, you can answer too. How many tournaments in the FPO are not going to finish 1,000 rated average for the winner?
We have 19 tournaments this year? Is that right?
Something like that. There was not many last year.
4.
Okay. I'll bet you a box of popcorn on that.
All right.
I'll say 2.
2. Wow.
Oh, I don't think so. I think that there's still a couple of courses that aren't quite right for FPO that I think hang up scores sometimes.
But that's not. There's
the ratings
not
do
many
funny
that are
things.
truly not score separating anymore. If we're talking about 3 or 4 years ago, I would totally agree with you. But I don't really think that's the case much anymore. I mean, even the European courses have started putting in FPO layouts.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm going to pull up what the number was from last year.
While you're doing that, Charlie, the one thing
Sure.
one point I wanted to raise as well. I think Waco was Kristin's first event of the season last year as well, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
she never comes and plays Florida, and starts at the Texas Swing. So this is typically her kickoff event, which to your point about Kristin and her performance, it makes a ton of sense. Number one, you don't have to show up to a bomber course when you've been dealing with Estonian winters all year.
Yeah.
You don't have to. The distance doesn't have to be warm on day 1 necessarily, which is a big advantage. And when it comes to upshots, that mid-range of distance. Mid-range referring more to like a distance measurement than a disc measurement. Nobody does it better than Kristin. And so it makes a lot of sense why both Waco as a course is good for her and why it's such a great starting point, given that she usually kicks her tournament off at this event.
So
The number, by the way, last year, 12 tournaments, sub 1,000 rated winner. I will say 4 of those were lesser attended European events on the Pro Tour.
okay.
Are we counting those?
I think we count those, but they're much less likely to be less attended this year. I mean, there are still going to be some. I think I might have to revise my estimate to 6, just given those stats. But
I'll bump mine to 4.
Okay. I think we're making the right adjustment here.
I'll
but
take the over on 6 still.
over on 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, go to Silverlat's Instagram. He just posted a video of Kristin throwing, practicing the Waco course. She has a really fluid rhythm right now with the backhand. Just watch a few of these shots come out of her hand.
Yes.
The timing and rhythm just on this little clip looks already miles better than it did last year, because she did
came out of the
spray
gate a
decent
little.
amount. Yeah.
It was looking a little weird coming out of the hand at the beginning of last season.
Well, she said that she was dealing with some health issues. And
Yep.
again, she's not going to let us in on everything that's going on because she knows better now. You know, when she had that elbow injury, it was like the talk of the town, every single press conference, every single weekend on commentary, and understandably so. But I bet she had more going on behind the scenes than we realize. So this year looks fantastic already. So I'm excited.
All right, Charlie, you teased some news, and I'm kind of tired of waiting.
Okay.
So I kind of want to.
I really dragged it out.
Yeah, you really did. If you're going to make an announcement of an announcement, you at least got to.
Just hit me.
You can't leave us hanging the entire show.
All right. So I was talking to TD of Waco, Ryan Draper, yesterday. And he said that there is work being done right now on a big new wooded course in Waco. W.R. Jackson style is how he described it. And he said it's likely that Waco is going to become a 4-round tournament again in the future, possibly as early as next year.
Wow.
So the course, he said it's possible that it'll be done within the year, but certainly within the next couple of years. So they are working on a major pro level wooded course that could go alongside our standard beast. And to me, it not only does it make me think about this tournament being a location for a 4-round DGPT plus type event, but could we see a Worlds here in 5 to 10 years?
Could be his push.
Texas Worlds feels like it could happen. It probably should happen.
Yeah, 100%. W.R. Jackson. I hope that comparison comes true, because that is a lot of players' favorite place in the world to play disc golf. And in me and Perkins' grading system for how we grade courses each week, setting is one of the categories we grade 1 to 10. And I think Jackson would be the closest to scoring a perfect 10 in regards to biological setting and where the course is. I hope this place lives up to it. Do you know who's designing it?
I did not get that info.
Well,
I should have asked.
shame on you. That's okay.
I can still, you know what? I'll try to find out. I think I can find out.
To that point, I think this is so smart on Ryan's part, on Waco's part. The Texas swing has been a part of the tour for a long time, but it's always in like different iterations. The other Texas tournament just never seems to hold up. You get a Texas tournament, it's all right, falls off. Get a Texas tournament, it gets flooded, falls off. Get a Texas tournament, right? Like there's been no continuity on the other Texas tournament, and it doesn't feel like it's like an intentional, let's travel the state of Texas, and every 4 years you get to repeat this cycle. It feels more like it just doesn't quite meet the Pro Tour standards every time. And Waco has been that consistent for a decade as an Elite Series event now. And in doing so, and adding this extra course and taking a more like wanting this 4-round tournament, which a little bit more of a prominent role, I think that's just so smart to keep, in order to like maintain the legacy and longevity of Waco as our game continues to evolve. I love it. I love that addition.
I also think that, at least I'm hoping that municipalities will start to see some of these tourism numbers and start to think, okay, well, maybe the World Championship, in Virginia gave us enough evidence to want to bring one of these types of courses here. Maybe we need to build a new London. And it's kind of a balancing act, because, private courses are great because we can do whatever we want, at least close to that. But these public courses are wonderful because we have like the bigger infrastructure we can tap into. So I'm right with you, Josh. And I really hope we get W.R. Jackson, because to hear that place not only had like the whatever beetle it was that ate the trees, apparently they were almost done with a course. They were almost ready with the revamp, and then the hurricane came and took down like 1,000 more trees. So I hope we get its replacement, and I hope now that places are seeing like, okay, these big beautiful courses will bring in thousands of people. Like, let's build the course for these thousands of people. So that's what I'm excited about.
I mean, an event like Worlds, you're talking about economic impact in the tens of millions, probably. By the time you add up all the hotel room nights and the restaurants and the bar, and like, I actually think disc golf, like mega events like that, like World Championship level, are still probably underselling themselves to CVBs, conventions and visitors bureaus. Basically, these companies' job is basically to bring events and support them with money in many cases, because the money that comes back into their economy from all of the hotel night stays is massive.
Pretty wild.
For a 5-day event, and how many people are on site for a Worlds over the course of the week? Probably easily over 5,000.
Yeah.
But once you account for volunteers and staff and players and then all the fans, I think we're going to start seeing those events be over 10,000 people. And that is a very significant event, especially one that long. I think you could see cities not only be willing to like support an event like that with $50,000 to $100,000, if not more, but also, like you say, maybe say, hey, how can we want to spend $2.5 million putting in a championship level course.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if that's the right number, but you get my point. Like the long run benefit of disc golf is going to start to become more apparent. And I think it's like already starting to happen a little bit. And I've certainly heard Jeff Spring talk about that, but like for these big events, it's just could be massive.
Someone has to take the chance to run these events and then get the numbers to then sell to other people, because a lot of these cities are going to look at the numbers and be like, well, we're only going to give you this. But once you have the big event, once you have the one tournament that cities can look at and say, okay, you brought in that much money, huh? That's what's going to open the floodgates. At least I think so, because I understand why it would happen like that. And what's happening in Europe, I think, is going to change the game in many ways. I actually was talking to UC about a different topic earlier this winter, and he told me he was starting to have nightmares about the World Championships because he's afraid too many people are going to show up.
What are we going to do?
That's like the marketing genius of him, but you know, it's a funny joke to make, but that could be the tipping point.
One other thing to that point, Charlie, that I think is just so smart about this is when you look at, disc golf courses, they are permanent recreation access and assets in a way that I think is a little bit different than just a convention center. Because a convention center is good, and I mean, even and stadiums are good, but they require constant, like, trying to continue. It's an ongoing, we've got to try and keep these events coming back again and again and again. And obviously you need to do that for, one Pro Tour event or one major, but those assets also expand in a lot of ways in terms of what can be done for recreation for a city. I think of the Nordic Center near me, which is, an amazing mountain woods course that is just one of the best around in the region. And it doubles as there are mountain bike trails, there are hiking and running trails. In the winter, it's cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. And that multi-purpose nature of that facility is one that becomes a recreation asset for the entire community and region at large in a way that you can really create like recurring funds if you just charge day use fees and parking fees to use and access these facilities. And so I think it should be such an easy sell to say, look, bring this one event, think about the economic impact of the one event and maybe an A tier, and then combine it as well with this idea of day use and other recreation, and it's a multi-use facility, and it can become a really valuable asset to municipalities.
So I just shared, and we'll put it up on the YouTube as well. This is the UDisc 2025 top courses in the world rankings. Krokol disc golf course in Norway, number 1. Ale, number 2. Heinola, number 3. A lot of European representation here in the top 15. The reason I put this up, I want to call your attention to the fact that every single one of the top 14 courses in the world right now, according to UDisc, costs money. Either you have to pay or paying is encouraged. And I bring that up because I think that not only is there like a recreation benefit, Josh, but a high-level municipal disc golf course with one employee working at like a pro shop type environment could make actual real money for the city, along with being a place that could host tour events and bring significant numbers of people to come spend money in your municipality. So, I'm not saying you have to have a pay-to-play course in order for it to be good. And, I was talking to some folks in the Ulti World Disc Golf Discord, available to subscribers, about, this isn't what we need, right? Like, we don't need more elite courses. We need more 9-hole pitch and putts that can get more people involved. And I agree, but there is also this like sort of like on the other side of the spectrum benefit from building like a truly elite course that you can monetize.
Something else to that point, Charlie, the Nordic Center that I was discussing, I don't know if it's quite at this level necessarily, but the front 9 there are 2 courses on the property. The front 9 of one of the courses has the red baskets, which are all sub 200 feet.
Right.
They are all visible from the tee.
Right.
And so I can go play, this technical, they've got blind shots, it's wooded, and my friend can come and play what is a pretty straightforward shooting. And if they want to keep throwing after that hole, great. But they can get the satisfaction of playing that short course as well. And there are ways to integrate that into also creating an asset and at least the structure for a big Pro Tour style or World's Championship level course.
I also think all you need, even if you just design a standalone championship course, you just need 5 more acres of woods next to it to build 9 holes of beginner-friendly golf that's scenic, that gives the people playing it that same joy that kind of gets you hooked on disc golf. And I don't know. I think beginner-friendly courses that are also beautiful and like fun to play for experienced players, that's what grows disc golf from the grassroots level, because it gives people that green light of success. It's the local par 3 golf course that allows people to play for cheap and enjoy the game on a different level. Yeah, I think places like Kensington Metro Park, Beaver, where BSF is, and Milo McIver State Park, those public but pay-to-play facilities are fantastic. And I'm excited to see Worlds at BSF at Milo in 2027. And then, what do you know, 2026, we're going to the toboggan. So it's no surprise, but I hope that more of these places start to see the value in using those 50 acres of woods that don't get any other use. Maybe it's 60 acres nowadays, but I think we can do it. I think Europe Worlds needs to happen. It needs to be a roaring success, and then the U.S. needs to go, what's our problem? We got to catch up. It's like basketball in the Olympics. It feels like they slacked a little bit, and then they started losing, and then they were like, okay, we got to build the dream team. We got to get everybody on our side again. So fingers crossed.
So that was a great aside. Waco, what's the key to success at the Beast?
Well, first one is sprint. You have to birdie. But you cannot get discouraged. Like, you might have a day where your body feels weird, your release point's not perfect, you're not playing the wind right. You have to stay really confident in your decision making, because the winner is not going to have, 3 double bogeys from hitting first available tree. it takes a lot of confidence and really experience, I think, plays out there too. Because most of the time you're going to have headwind on one or you're going to have tailwind on one. And tailwind on one makes those finishing holes easier. Headwind on one makes those holes really tough. And this is not a course where the best of the best of the best can just outclass people. You don't just get to be a quote unquote better player and win. Like some of our staff members on DGPT are going out there shooting 7 down. And if you go 7-7-7, you might cash. So, yeah, I don't know. It's more of a mental battle than anything. That's all I got. I don't know. This is not a course you can dive too deeply into, nor do you need to.
Here's the question then, Brian. Who do you have winning this weekend?
Oh my gosh. This one's almost impossible.
It feels impossible.
Do you remember that one year it was like Nico and Kale were like coming down the stretch and everyone was like, what is this 2009? Like no insult to these guys, but like they've been out here a long time and you hadn't seen them in a little bit at the top.
That's the one where Nico like ran that like 65 footer.
Little air bounce.
Little 17.
Yeah, little spinner right in. That was sick.
Mm-hmm. If I had to pick, let me do this.
To your point about being difficult to predict. Oh, go ahead,
Josh. Can you even remember who the top 3 players were in 2023? I'll give you credit for any of the top 3.
In 2023.
Yeah, when it was a 3-round beast.
Okay. Wasn't Luke Humphreys second?
Nope.
Oh.
That was the year before.
That was the year before. Okay, so that was 2022. Okay, so 2023.
You've
Dickerson?
already failed. No.
Oh, I don't know. Who is it?
Dickerson was 22nd.
Okay.
Cole Redallen was 3rd, tied with Calvin Heimberg. Adam Hammis was 2nd, and Kyle Klein was your winner.
Oh, okay. The Kyle Klein year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
real fast to that point about like being difficult to pick and such. I several years ago I got in a fight on the Discord about Waco. I got like this a drag out fight, and the resolution to the fight was I pulled a lot of numbers from events that have been on like Pro Tour for more than 5 years or so, or were in Elite Series for more than 5 years, and Waco traditionally has been the least predictive of how people finish overall on the season based on like their winning. So if they win at Waco compared to other events, it says less about how they're planning, like they might finish the season, indicating a diversity of winners. And so this tournament is just next to impossible to predict.
All right. Well, if I have to pick one player, I'm like going through Chris Dickerson's past finishes. Hang on. I'm not going to pick Chris. I actually think Gannon might win. I'm going to pick Gannon.
It's a bold take from Brian here.
No, he first popped off. But no, hold on.
I'm just giving you grief.
It's a bold take because you don't just get to show up and be like the robot that he is. You have to you got to go out there and play chess. Like you have to execute some really touchy shots. And it's something in the past he wasn't proud of. But that's where he first popped off when he was a kid. I think he's going to rise above the expectations that it's hard to predict and win the tournament. And then for FPO...
You're going to double down on your hot takes and take Kristin?
Listen, you got to take Kristin. She's dominated this tournament.
But Ella almost won the last time it was a 3-rounder.
It's true. She should have won. She was the best player that week. She completely collapsed down the stretch.
I mean, Kristin looks like she's playing good, but I haven't seen her, score any rounds recently. I haven't seen her putt. Oh gosh. All right, just give me own. I don't know. I don't know. Just give me own. This is such a hard one. I have stronger opinions on other tournaments, but this one is like roll the dice, and some player's going to win.
Owen was one of 3 players double digits under par 2 years ago, along with Ella and Kristin. So it's definitely within the realm of possibility. And honestly, it fits her game great. The sidearm flex shot is actually a super useful shot on a lot of holes out here. So yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a fun one. And the weather's going to be pretty nice. It's going to be windy Friday, but then it's going to be quite nice and it's going to be sunny all weekend.
Yeah. Thank God.
Thank God. All right. Well, Brian, thank you so much. How can people listen to your new podcast with Nate?
Currently, YouTube, Jomez, that's where you're going to be able to watch and listen. We are dealing with some issues on the Spotify side for some reason. It's going to be a little bit of time before those get up on the platforms, but just so you all know, they are going to eventually be up there. We'll be all caught up, but we release every Tuesday. And I believe if you're a Jomez Patreon member, you might get early access at some point. Don't quote me on that, but yeah.
All right. Brian Earhart with us on the pod. Brian, look forward to seeing you very soon and calling the action this weekend.
Ooh, I'll see you soon, brother. Nice to see you guys.
All right. Brian Earhart with us here on the Upshot. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Upshot. Hey, guess what? It's ratings update day from PDGA. Josh, I have some news for you.
Okay.
First of all, for the first time, we have a new member of the 990 club in FPO. I believe there have only now been 3 players ever who have gone over 990 rated. Kristin, Paige, and now the dog herself owns Scoggins. Absolute dog move to get to 990, by the way.
In her 40s.
That's so crazy. 990, a career high. She is the second highest rated player in the world behind Kristin. Holland Hanley, pretty close by, 986. I believe that's not quite a high for her. She was 988 at one point. Evelina, 985. Missy, 984. And that's your 980s club.
That's so cool. That is good for the dog. I mean, you can't doubt the dog. You just cannot doubt the dog.
Never.
Oh, what an awesome story. That makes me so happy.
On the MPO side, Gannon is still the number 1 rated player in the world. He did drop 2 points. He's now 1057. Ricky, second highest rated at 1054. And now in solo third after his win at the Florida Open, Ezra Robinson, 1046. Gets
2
him in front of his brother Isaac. He's in front of Calvin.
Yep.
And then rounding out the 1040 club is Anthony Barella, Chris Dickerson, Paul Macbeth, Nicholas Antela, and Kyle Klein. I believe that's the whole list. If you haven't played yet in 2025, sometimes you don't show up on this list, but I think that's it because James Proctor dropped a little bit. He's staying at 1039. That is. So there you go. Is Dickerson going to get back in the winner's circle this year? He's kind of sneaky, been sitting in those 1040s for a while.
I have not seen him like, even when Dickerson was like top of the sport, Dickerson wasn't, or like near the top of the sport. It wasn't because Dickerson comes out and like shoots lightning, like 1070 rated tournaments. It's because he always shoots 1040 to 1050 golf. And in the past, that was good enough to win some weekends. And I just don't think that's good enough to win most weekends now. And I don't know how often he really pops off in tournament rating in a way that is going to kind of snag him one of those wins.
He needs to refine the elite putt.
Yeah.
I think
that made up for a lot.
He's slipped a little bit from Circle 2. I mean, he's still obviously a very good putter. But if he wants to start winning again, it's probably going to require like blistering pace from C2. I'm going to check the numbers from last year.
While you're checking, I just pulled his Statmando page. Last season, Ledgestone was his best event, where he took third at 1060 rated. And then his next best event rating at a DGPT event was Music City Open at 1053.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's not shooting poorly a lot of times, but he just doesn't shoot high enough rated events to really contend. And, that Music City got him a third place finish. But outside of Music City and Ledgestone, his other 3 events that were in the 1050s were all A tiers that he won.
Yeah.
So it's like Dickerson's consistent. He's good, but he's just not shooting the kind of tournaments.
But I mean, look at the numbers from last year. 4th in fairway hits on tour, 8th in Circle 1 in regulation, 9th in Circle 2 in regulation. Okay, so they're elite.
Yes.
But the problem is, he was still over 30% Circle 2 putting. It's very good. But he was like 31% basically. The best players are up like almost near 40 at this point. And the bigger problem is that he was only 83% Circle 1.
Oh,
I mean, that's like basically tour, maybe slightly below average on tour. Like if you're talking about touring players, that's not a good number. So like if he can refine the putt,
he's got a chance.
Even if nothing else changes, I think he's going to be like right back up at the top of the leaderboard. Now, I hear you. I don't know that he's necessarily somebody who's going to, throw down 1,100 rate around anytime soon. But he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He has a very low OB rate relative to some of the other players who are like up in the high numbers in Circle 1 and Circle 2 and reg. So I think he's a very good candidate for a bounce back year because we know he can be a great putter.
Charlie, the event rating stats back that point up as well. He only had 3 events all year last year where he finished below a 1035 event rating.
Wow. So he's like a super high floor guy.
Super high floor. Oh, I mean, and that's why his rating stays in the 1040s. When your floor is a 1035, and his worst event, won't even count the DGPT Championship because it's weird. But the Chess.com Invitational last year, 1025, that was his lowest rated event. Idlewild, 1029. And then after that, I mean, it was 1035 and up. And so when you are living in the 1040s, of course your rating's in the 1040s, but it's and it's nice because that means that like he's not having those off rounds, but it's going to take him getting a new spark to jump another 10 rating points to get a win.
Yeah. I mean, in 2023, he was 87-26. So he improved actually pretty dramatically in Circle 2, but Circle 1 dropping down to the 83s. You have to do better. It's that simple.
Yep, you do.
All right. Anything else from the ratings update?
No, I think
okay.
That's
well, then that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll get you all set up for Waco with picks and whatnot on Thursday, and we look forward to talking to you then. Don't miss our subscriber bonus segment, Inside the Circle. We're doing one this week, and then we're also doing our Rapid Reacts following Waco on Sunday night. Fair warning, I am flying back to New York late Sunday. I do not think it will preclude a live Rapid Reacts, but the timing may be condensed. Hopefully, I will not sit at the wrong gate and miss my flight.
So that was
doing the Rapid Reacts, as I am wont to do. All right. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long. We'll talk to you Thursday right here on The Upshot.